Ali pits young Pale and Atreyu against skilled warriors in this gladiatorial game. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, Wave 4, collect them all.
I love that laugh. Which I've heard Jason do in person, which is why I like it so much, I think. If I didn't know that it was Jason doing that and that he could just do it on command, it would probably be annoying. But because I've heard him do it, it's actually more entertaining to me.
What a shame. I haven't had the pleasure. When he gets on, if he gets on, we're going to have him do it.
If he gets on, yeah. We don't know where Jason is. I haven't heard from him since this morning, so I think he's fine. I'm not saying like something, sinister or terrible has happened to him. I just think he forgot what time it was, which it was
never happened before. Which has never happened before. This is going to be the very first time.
Such a shocking that he would be late or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, we're here. We're live. What's going on, Brick? How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. It's been a wonderful week. I know we're in different countries, so we had our Thanksgiving celebration, our week of gratitude, or I should say day of gratitude. I am lucky enough to be in a district that takes the entire week off. Yeah. Essentially because it was happening anyways, and we were losing money on students being absent. So we just said, hey, why don't we just turn it into a thing? So it's been a bonus for us, and we got some nice family time. I was out in Arizona, and that was beautiful. So I'm good, man. I'm feeling kind of refreshed, but back to it tomorrow. How about you?
Yeah, we had a Thursday in Canada.
You do still have a holiday?
We do still have Thursday. No, it wasn't a holiday. It's just Thursday.
Oh, it was a Thursday. So you had a Thursday. Awesome.
We had a Thursday. I worked my normal shift. It was just a normal day. The weird thing is in Canada, we still do Black Friday. So like we work Thursday, and then on Friday we still do Black Friday because it's like one of those days that people sort of expect to get deals and stuff like that. And there isn't a Canadian Black Friday. Like we have Thanksgiving, but our Thanksgiving is in October. But it's, we don't have a Black Friday sort of following Thanksgiving. Right. We just have Friday. So that's like, it just doesn't work the same. So we're just like, hey, it's Black Friday. So, you go shopping this weekend. It's the same as if, we were south of the border where, all the big posters are up and everybody's like, wow, I got to get a great deal. And it's like, it's 5% off. And you're like, that's any given day of the week. You could probably get that. So
there were some good ones. I know for a fact
there was some good ones. And I would say if you're a toy collector and if you're an AWOK collector, there was a very good one, a very specifically good one to sort of, this show. Jason wouldn't tell me what the deals were because he told me, or because I've told him how much I hate discounting things, and I think we should sell everything for full retail all the time because I think the products are amazing.
Sure.
But Black Friday is kind of one time I think where it makes sense, and I think there's some pretty crazy good deals. Gladiator Atreyu for $24, like fresh off the truck, fresh into the warehouse, to me was bonkers. We sold a lot of those. I processed all the Black Friday orders already. They've been sort of processed and pushed through Fulfill Right. So I think everybody that ordered through the Black Friday promo, which was one day only, should have gotten a shipping notice by now.
I've gotten reports from folks who were super excited about the sale and were telling, man, this thing got processed already and it's on its way. So well done to you. And if you want to see Adam in the super like high energy action that it takes to do that, you can see him on the Clubhouse. I forget, it's Thursday's Clubhouse, I think. No.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, it would have been late at night. It would have been when the sale actually kicked in.
The sale had just started. Yeah, it had just launched.
You can see the moment where he realizes, he logs in on his screen and goes, "Oh crap!" Like there was
like 100 orders. There was 100 orders before like I went to bed, and I pushed those all through because I figured if I don't do it now, I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow. And just the way we've got it set up right now, I'm like manually doing it just to make sure that everybody's getting the right pricing and that everybody's getting a good deal. I will say this. So this is sort of a disclosure thing. For shipping, some people would pick one shipping and it may ship a different way. If there was a cheaper, faster option, I changed your shipping. So I never changed anybody's shipping that would make it slower, but I did change shippings if it would be faster for the same price or less. So, so there you go. That's if you
Good
pick
for you.
the option, you get a FedEx delivery.
Look at you making
I
NECA
take
look
blame
bad.
for it, but you're welcome. So yeah,
You're gonna say, look at you making NECA look bad. Jeez.
I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. I'm just trying to make us look good. So that's and again, I'm telling people, because if people picked the DHL parcel ground, which is the cheapest option typically, from sort of one side, it doesn't always translate because we actually get a different rate through Fulfill Right, and sometimes the speeds are different. So some people picked like a DHL parcel and it was like 3 days, and like FedEx could do it for the same price in 2 days. And I was like, well, heck, why wouldn't somebody want their figure a day earlier, right? So
if you're looking for takeaways here, one, Jason's supposed to be here and he's not. Two, Adam was doing this order processing in real time on Oz's stream. So all of those two things should give you a sense of the I guess the well-funded corporate machine that is behind Spiro Toys, and how this thing is held together by a beautiful set of duct tape and bubblegum. But it's awesome because ultimately I think that deal was great, that Black Friday deal, which I think we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah,
but
we'll talk a little bit
I think it was a great way for a lot of folks to get figures. I know people were reaching out to me about it, and like I said, give me real time, like it's live. I was like, I know, and they're like, I just ordered this, awesome. Which is really cool. That part of it, I was really excited to hear what people are getting and that they're excited and that they're getting there. Like, it's actually really cool to get feedback that like, oh, I found the deals, I ordered what I wanted, and then later it's like, it's shipping so fast, or it's being processed. Because, as folks know, I also sort of help out with sort of like a little bit of the marketing stuff. And it's just nice. Part of my personal interest in this is just to make sure that, one, people know about Spiro and AWOK more. And that two, people have like a good view of the toy line and the company. Yeah. And so in real time, it was actually really, really cool to get that feedback. So yeah.
We'll say hello to the chat and then we'll jump back into the Black Friday. We'll talk about what was on sale. We'll talk about, because that was, I agree with you. In the AWOK Facebook group, people were like posting their orders. They're like, here's what I ordered. It was really cool to see. Yeah. Collecting Brothers is here. JMax77, Thanos Copter, Star is here. Banjax the Junction, which is not a name that I'm familiar with. Welcome.
Junkion.
Good to have you.
That's a Transformers reference, friend.
Banjax the Junkion. Gady's Toys. Crows are scary, smart, and mean. Don't mess with them, says Gady's Toys.
Bad experience today, Andrew? Hope the crows are okay.
Christopher Bouchard is here. Red Five's hanging out as usual. Ray Paz, Josh Brown, Endless Fables. Rick Jones. Amanda is here as well. She's putting George down for his nap, actually, as we speak. Ray Paz says, it's Rick Jones, bitches.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I was
like... Andy's Pandies. Let's see. I'm scrolling through these sort of as fast as I can, trying to get everybody this.
What's up, Kuya?
Wait, Larry's hold on, Geeky
real quick. He's like, what's up, Kuya Brick? Which is usually what you say to like older folk. I was like, man, quick way
to make me coming through finally.
Yeah, quick way to make me feel real old. No, but it's cool. I know I'm an old guy.
Let's see. Rick Jones says nobody does capitalism like Americans.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they practically invented it.
Yeah, when you were like, "Oh, but we have a Black Friday," I was like, "Duh!" I mean, it's capitalism. Like, it's not a real holiday, folks, and it just has become this thing. You know, the one time when I was in Vancouver last time, it was during our Thanksgiving.
Your Thanksgiving, yeah.
And that's what the kids, the kids were also doing, like, oh, they do Black Friday here too. I was like, oh man. But yes, they're that aware.
Anybody that sells things probably does Black Friday. I mean, I don't know if it's an international thing. We actually, interestingly enough, I know that that you guys don't do Boxing Day the same way that we do Boxing Day. So Boxing Day is kind of our big Black Friday equivalent. And Europe does Boxing Day more than it does Black Friday. So we kind of double dip.
Gotcha.
Which is, you know, people think you guys are good at capitalism. Let me tell you something. We adopt everybody's sales,
and you charge more. Damn.
Yeah, and we charge more taxes and all that kind of stuff. That's I guess that's. Brian Brink is here as well. Let's see. And Brian Brink says the whole month of November is the new Black Friday. Yeah, it kind of is. It's kind of
true.
A bummer, but
yeah.
Dork Lair is here as well. Good to have you, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Good to see you. Let's see.
What was the ouch too soon?
Oh, FedEx for the win. They have easy ways to manage your shipments. That's that sounds like their tagline, I think. But Alpha Magnus is here as well, and I think that's just whatever. Oh, Mythic Dolphin is here as well.
Hey,
so
Tiffany.
Good to have Mythic Dolphin.
I miss Tiffany by that much apparently at Legion's Con. Were you there at the table when she came by?
I think I was running off to grab something when she was there. And by the time I got back, she had...
But you've met before.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we've met. I met her last year, so I met her whole family last year. Dork Lair says Dork Lair says Black Friday week month. Yeah, pretty much. All right, so we're caught up with the chat as far as I can tell. I like this though. Alpha Magnus said just dropping in at Thanksgiving number 4. That's crazy. That's like, you know, I mean, I don't want to jump to any conclusions. I'm just trying to think like, okay, maybe it's like in-laws and then friends and then, you know, your immediate family and then, you know, the other side of the family. I don't know. It could be anything, but 4 is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of uncomfortable, you know, belt loosening and like
sweats. It's all sweats.
Sweats. Yeah, exactly.
This is for Georgie again. What's up, little buddy? I don't know if you saw that comment. That was cool.
Did George? Yeah, George just did a peace sign back to Prick. He's being put to bed, but he's watching our video. That's how dedicated my 2-year-old is to making sure that he catches.
Hit like and subscribe, Georgie.
Rolando Utah Toy Hunter says hello. Hello to you as well. Josh Brown says, man, 4? I don't even want to do 1 Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's a funny one, hey, because you either kind of love it or you hate it, I think. And I think it's often a reflection of how much you enjoy spending time with your family. I typically enjoy Thanksgiving. I enjoy Thanksgiving. I was thinking about this today while I was driving. I know a lot of people in the collecting community, especially, lean very heavily into Halloween. I lean much more heavily into Christmas. I love Christmas. It's December 1st. We've got Christmas carols going. The direct decorations are going to get put up today. We were opening the advent calendars. We do the chocolate and the, you know, Lego / Playmobil / Jurassic Park ones this year. So
that has nothing to do with Dad's influence, I'm sure.
Nope, nothing whatsoever. I didn't pick any of those. Anyways, Rob Zamora is here as well. Says, "Sup, ladies." All right, yeah, Black Friday. You know, the sale was pretty big. I mean, Jason often has, you know, rolling sales where, you know, there's a bundle here or 10% off there or something like that. But this really was like I think a proper Black Friday sale. You know, there was deeply discounted items. There were items from every wave represented in the selection there.
Yep.
And there was a lot of people stocking up on a lot of stuff. We sold a bunch of Ancients. That was the go-to for sort of repeat offenders. Gladiator Atreyu, and some of the other ones were, where people were ordering sort of 3 or 4 figures. They were getting really good deals. $24 a figure. You're getting $11 off.
Mm-hmm.
The Ancients were $10, which is pretty crazy. I think they started at like 21, 22.
Yeah, why don't you throw up the visuals?
Yeah. So you're getting really good pricing, and I think Jason did a really good job in terms of like not telling people what the pricing was going to be, because people were asking, and it was like, that was, people saw this and they were like, well, what are the prices going to be? What's going to be on sale?
Okay, so behind the scenes, first off, number one, the teacher corrected the spelling. It's Black Friday, not Black Fur Day, unlike some of the postings early. And then, much to my chagrin, the actual sale link ended up saying Black Fur Day on the site.
Mm-hmm.
But so part of it was, I saw folks asking about what's the deal, and in communicating with Jason, I was like, hey, what are the deals? Because as much as I can appreciate maybe like trying to hold back, the other thing is, like, that's the charm of the American or capitalist holiday of Black Friday, is getting above, getting on people's radar for having these quote unquote blockbuster, doorbuster deals, right? And when Jason told me what they were going to be, I was like, man, we should like tell people about this. And so I happened to be in Arizona watching Bill's live on Dorklair, and I was like, oh man, I meant to send him what those prices were. So like live, right? I think you were saying like, I don't know what they
I
are.
didn't even know. I didn't want to know.
Can I say them? And so we ended up doing it impromptu, and we were able to share this, because like, man, I wanted people to prepare, because as we know, I've got Legion's Waves on pre-order. I've got a Dragon to consider. I've got like now a figure obscure. Like there's all sorts of stuff, right? But then it's also like, but it's Black Friday. What can I get? So you wanted to let people know, and I'm like, okay, the Thane for $50, the Tanger for $45, which ended up being the only thing I think to sell out was Tanger, which makes sense. He was like the exclusive figure at one time.
Yeah, so I wasn't paying attention. But what I noticed was there was Tangers early, and then there weren't any after that, and I was like, oh, nobody wants Tanger. I was like, oh wait, there aren't any Tangers.
They're gone. You're saying on the back end,
and it's like,
when you were processing the orders. Yeah, and so that was cool. That was like, that was probably the last shot, I'm assuming, to get it from Spiro at least. And then
I don't know, because I know that it's for the last year or so, it's been like a con exclusive. We typically will have sort of 5 at a con, but I do know that when we were at Legion's Con, we were talking about how Tanger's getting, we're down to like the last case or something.
Yeah, there weren't many.
So that might be it. I mean, if you miss Tanger, you may be out of luck on that glorious orange gorilla, but
well, here, let's wrap this up, because I'm sure people are like, why are you showing this to me now that I can't get it? Too bad, so sad, because we did tell folks trying early that it was a 24-hour thing. I wanted to make sure that it was clear. There were a couple, let me just share this to see my earlier comments about the Cracker Jack operation that is Spiro Toys sometimes, and I say that with love, as we know, and I think it's part of its charm. But on the Dorklair thing was hilarious, because it was like, hey, I'm listing out the figures, and people are like, well, what about the figure that's on the left in the image? What about the one on the right? What about the one in the middle? And I was like, oh yeah, none of those were actually listed as items on sale. So it's like, well, I guess they're on sale now. So to be clear, those were not originally on there. They ended up being there, and then we put this out via the MailChimp. This is being edited in real time. But so all of these figures, right? There were a couple of named characters, and then some army builders here at the end that were $24. Normally about what, 35? Is that right?
$34.99 for the named ones, and then I think the other ones are typically the $10 items are typically between sort of 13 and 23.
Right. So I thought that was huge, right? Especially like some of these are, we've talked about this before, some of these are our favorite figures. I love these 3 cats for sure. But then these guys, you processed my order, and I was happy to get, excuse me, again, Cracker Jack operation. Like, these are awesome. And I totally paused on these, and then because I was like, well, I should chill. There are other things to buy, and then finally just got them right before Legion's Con. These things are rad. Like, this whole wave is
that
awesome.
whole wave. That whole wave is a funny one because I've spoken to Jason about it, and it just didn't sell as well. Like, part of the full disclosure, like, part of the reason it's in the Black Friday is because we had higher quantities of those than some of the others. Because it just didn't sell. I mean, the army builders, a lot of people leaned into the Chunari army builders and the Horrid army builders, but like the Feralus Stalker and the Chunari Centurion. The Feralus Stalker to me is like one of the best figures. Like, the color palette is fantastic. The alternate head is perfect. You got so much potential there with the head swaps and the armor sets and all that kind of stuff that you can add on to that figure. So the Feralus Stalker, I have as many Feralus Stalkers, maybe not quite as Horde Ravagers. I have a lot of Horde Ravagers.
Well, I know I don't have nearly as much as you, but you saw my order, so I ended up getting 3 of those.
Yeah, it's a great figure.
Yeah, such a good figure. The alt lion head for $24 is wild. So, and I know it sucks because, again, you can't get it at that price right now. But it was cool for 24 hours.
Not paying attention.
Well done, Spiro. And then this whole thing, you said $25 normally for these guys, and then these are like $12.99, which I was really like, I want people to know about these because, like, especially if you're a customizer.
Yeah, I'm going to do a poll.
Pack of heads.
I think what I'm going to do is, because I did, like, way back when sort of the Kickstarter hadn't even like shipped the first wave of figures, I did a post. I was not employed by Spiro at the time. I mean, I'm barely employed by Spiro now, but I did a post that sort of showed all the head swaps. So, like, each head, is specifically designed for like one figure that exists in the line. But what I'm going to do is actually do another post where I kind of put the head on the figure, because I didn't even have the figures at the time. But I'm going to do another one to sort of update that post so that people can sort of see, what works, specifically, like what Jason had designed it or intended to match. And then the ones that are like pretty close,
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, when you're saying the ones that are intended are like, black fur kind of body, etc. But I just wanted to throw this up there because it's fun to kind of mix things around. So this guy ends up looking like he's just like a really old troop because he's got the white beard, even though technically, it's like doesn't
the
match
rest of it's gray.
it
still
the
works.
Curtains don't match the sheets or whatever. Anyways, it was a cool sale, and if you got it, great job. If you didn't, you missed out, but you can still pay full price if you want to right now. And then there was some clothing stuff. So I thought that was a good deal.
Yeah, it was a great deal, and I think it was, and I think it, it went well, and I hope people sort of got some cool stuff, and we're sort of happy with the pricing, and hope they're sort of happy with how quickly we get it out to them and stuff like that, because that's the whole point. Like, the last thing you want is like a Black Friday sale where everybody's like super excited about their new thing, and then it like shows up in January, and they're just like, what I ordered this forever ago. Some companies, that happens. I made the decision, very early on, that I was going to make sure that they got out as fast as they possibly could. And literally it couldn't have happened any quicker. They were virtually being fulfilled in real time. Because, they worked on Friday, and sort of everything that was there before they started work was in the queue to be processed on Friday. And then every order that came in sort of after the cutoff on Friday would have been processed today, actually. So that will get shipped out tomorrow. So, if you ordered something from Black Friday, it's on its way to you already. The exception is Tanger, because the Tanger has to be shipped from Louisiana. That's where we had the stock. So it's going to be a separate shipment. But you'll be getting your figures super quick. So
that's including, regardless if it was on sale or not, if the in-stock items all just go at the same time. So if they
it was all items.
Stuff, they're all going to get it. So that's great. Because I know people took this opportunity to get a bunch of good deals, but also to get the mongrel, which I know a lot of people love, the hyena, Awokin, the leopard. So yeah, I'm hoping folks dig them, because this latest wave, man, I've had a blast playing with that mongrel, playing with Awokin, the gladiators. Even though we have Pale and Atreyu, those
They're
alt
still
versions,
good figures.
yeah, they're really good. So
Yeah, I mean, Atreyu especially. I think Atreyu is kind of a sleeper because he is like an updated colorway. Like part of me wants to swap the fur bits onto the Atreyu version 1 because the color is kind of nicer. So we'll see. Anyway, that's but I'll need another one, which I do have another one coming. But anyway.
Sorry, how dangerous is that? You've like got control of the thing. You're like, I just need one.
You know what?
more.
Okay, I will. So full disclosure, this is
Amanda, stop listening real quick.
No. So I typically get one of everything, sort of that gets sort of comped to me for free. But whenever possible, I actually try to pick it up at shows because it doesn't cost Jason to ship it.
Sure.
So I'm not the first guy to get everything. Whenever anything has to be shipped, I pay for my own shipping. I actually ordered one of everything from eCollectibles as well. So I actually ordered, I pre-ordered waves 3 and 4 waves 1, 2, 3, and 4 through eCollectibles. So I'm still getting, another of each from eCollectibles, which should be here very, very soon. Which I paid for because I like the toy line, right? I like the toy store. I want to support these people. So as much as I probably do have the opportunity to take advantage of it and just have like hundreds of these things. It doesn't really benefit anybody in the long run if I do that. So my sort of free stuff is pretty, I think, pretty reasonable. And then when I'm at shows, I might pick up another figure or two. But yeah, I don't. It doesn't make sense to what's the getting high off your own supply. It doesn't make sense, right? Like you end up not making money because you're just opening all the toys for yourself. So I just avoid that. But
I've been asked about that recently, and it's a funny thing for me. One, I don't take money from Spiro, to be clear, but that order shipment, as you know, that was the first time that I've received product for free, and I was like, oh, what a novel concept. Because I think folks don't understand,
and we almost insisted.
Yeah, no,
like
totally.
You were like, no, I'm good, and we were like, no, we're gonna ship you a box of figures.
Yeah, it's pretty. Whatever. It's a weird part of the culture, but I will say, like, I'm still supporting, as you know, like the Kickstarter was like. But at the end of the day, all this other stuff of us doing the show or doing the support for the Kickstarter, doing like the updates. One, it's like a fun, creative way to practice certain muscles that I don't get to use as much. But also, I want to see it succeed, and I believe in it. Yeah. So there. Yeah.
I'm just gonna point this out. Allison Troy, member for 13 months. I think that's like a month longer than I've had memberships. So that's pretty amazing. Thank you, Allison, for that. Very, very much appreciated.
I don't know how that works, but okay.
And Rob Zamora became a new member. So thank you, Rob, for joining. Good to have you. Boy, are you gonna be disappointed. Because I'm so busy that I don't do hardly anything. I added some new little emoji things or whatever they are because I felt terrible that I even had membership. It really meant nothing. What I will say is this, actually. So I have yet to open my G.I. Joe HasLab Dragonfly. I'm going to do 2 edits of that video, and one of those edits is going to be for members only. So there you go. Celebrate with balloons.
Woo!
So I don't know which one, the short one or the long one. Which one is like worse? Like, I don't know. There's so many of those videos, but I got to document me opening up the giant helicopter. So I'm gonna do that.
Good on you. Don't be like me and film it but never upload it.
Well, yeah, I'll film it and upload it and so that nobody can watch it, but at least it'll be done. Andy the Collector says, I really appreciate how fast you answered my email. So here's the thing, Andy the Collector, you probably didn't send an email that said Andy the Collector. I don't know whose emails I'm replying to sometimes. So I get these messages, which is great. I'm I try to answer everything within 24 hours if I can. I typically take, a day off on the weekend. So sometimes it's 48, but I try to answer every email as quickly as I can. Even if it's not the answer that you want, you will get a reply. And we can start the conversation. We can start the dialogue because it's important. It is important to communicate with customers. It is so important.
Again, just rubbing it in to a certain toy company.
Well,
right now,
I'm
kidding.
I mean to rub it in, in this case, because I think it's one of those things where, like, even if somebody sends us an email with a request that we just can't help them with, like,
sure.
At the very least, I think people deserve to hear no rather than to hear nothing.
I hear you, I see you, but no.
Yeah. I mean, because then at least it's like you're not being ignored, you're just being denied. So it's somewhat better, I guess.
Hey, quick shout out to Andy. Awesome to meet him at Legions Con. Super kind, and like, I'll just say thank you. He did something for me that was like super kind, super unexpected, and I was just like, it was a great way to start Legions Con. I was just like, I can't believe people are this nice. And I don't, I just don't know how he feels about naming stuff, but I'll just say he did something that I really appreciate, and thank you. It was awesome to meet you, man.
I agree. I mean, I've been absolutely blown away by and again, this is part of like that last thing that I was saying, like just the courtesy of communicating, right?
Yep.
I've been absolutely floored by how accommodating and how sort of, accepting and in some cases sort of forgiving and sort of gracious. Like, sometimes it's our fault, and if we can help, we will. Sometimes it's just sort of like an unfortunate situation, and then it's like, oh, are they going to be like super angry about it, or is the explanation going to sort of make sense to them the way it does to us? Yeah. And we've been very, very lucky and very, very fortunate, and this community in particular, I think kind of mirrors the Mythic Legions community.
Yeah.
In that they're just cool, just a bunch of cool folks. So Eric Dryja is here as well. Good to have you, buddy. Larry's Geeky World says that the Dragonfly is great. I know, I've heard from everybody, but mine's the box in my garage. That's like brutal. Every time I come home, I look at the box and I'm like, oh, it's still sitting there. I've been slowly like making space for it, but I just haven't gotten around to actually opening it. So Rob says, I just became a Brick Something member, and he's got a lot of little cool perks. I fill out a form. Very professional.
Dude, shout out to Rob Zamora for reading things and doing that. That
actually
is like,
filling out the form.
Yeah. Good on you, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that's the difference between Brick and I. Very professional, and there's forms. That's his thing. Unprofessional, no forms. That's my thing.
There's a little bit of an illusion happening, just so you know. It's like the Wizard of Oz, Sorry, I got Wicked on the brain, but anyways, thank you.
T. Bellette is here as well.
What's
Good
up?
to have you, buddy. Good to see you. I was surprised to see it Friday. I figured no one would be there till Monday.
That is pretty wild. That is cool that you all were able to make that work.
Let's see. Now I'm getting behind in the comments.
That's all right.
Andy said, this is funny to me, and I'll explain why in a second. Andy says, it was nice. It was so nice meeting you and your brother. This is funny because I didn't meet your brother.
That's right. The whole time you didn't get to meet him once?
Time. Oh. Like, I saw him at the table, and he sort of like passed by a couple times. I saw him in the lobby a couple times and sort of passed by. And I really did get the distinct impression that like he knew who I was, and he knew that I knew who he was, but there was no like, hey, nice to meet you kind of thing, because we were never sort of like right next to each other in a conversation or anything like that. So.
Right. He's seen us do the shows, but also he's in a line of work where he sees a lot of people, and it's always kind of hard maybe to know. And he's also in a line of work where I think he has come to appreciate people maybe like not always saying, hey, what's up? So like, I think he's very self-conscious about not saying hello sometimes, if that makes sense.
It 100% makes sense.
I know
to
you're
me,
the same way.
That's how I am.
Yeah, totally.
That's like, it's, I was saying last week when I did my sort of Legions Con wrap up thing, that it was such a trip to chat with Robo, and like, I've talked to Dan Larson a couple times, and it's like super weird for me. And I don't instigate the conversations. It's sort of, I have the sort of weird luxury, I guess, of being behind a table where they're interested in the stuff that we sell. Right. And so conversations kind of start a little bit more naturally. But yeah, just, it's, this whole thing is a total trip for me. And the other stuff that we're not even necessarily going to talk about today, but like, starting a toy company, it was not on my bingo card, a year ago. So Brian Carr with the $5 super chat, very much appreciated. Says, my first AWOKs arrive tomorrow. Can't wait. The upcoming figures like Boone, the birds, Mamba, etc. Will the Rhino and Hippo be released eventually? Yes. They've been designed. The 2D renders have been done. The sculpting hasn't been done. They'll be probably like 2026, something like that. So we still got plenty of time on them, but they're still in the queue. They're still, we still intend to make those. We just didn't unlock them in the Kickstarter, which means, it'll take just a little bit longer to get the funding to sort of get us there. So yes, they will absolutely be there. I'm super excited about Boone, the birds, the elephant,
hell yeah,
etc. as well. So yeah, super, super excited about all the stuff that's coming in the pipeline. So Andy says, I was a little shy, introduced myself, and didn't want to interrupt you guys. That's totally fair. That's I'm kind of that same person. It seems odd that I'm doing this, but I'm also the guy that won't introduce himself to people. But that's how it works. Speaking moistly, this is very, very kind. AWOK are up there for best toy line. Really well made and very cool. Very much appreciated. I mean, Brick and I just talk about them, and I just help facilitate selling them. But we agree, which is why we do this. So
right.
And Andy says you'll love them. They're just hand candy, absolutely. Josh Brown says he hasn't opened his Dragonfly either. Thomas says, I'm dealing with toy chaos as well. So much stuff to open still. The Dragonfly is not the only thing I have to open either. That's like, that's a symptom of this disease, not the disease itself. I got a stack of classified next to me. I got a Lego set I bought last year that I'm going to open this year because it's going to go on my Lego Christmas display. Yeah, it just piles up. Christopher Bouchard, very good point. Just give them a warm water bath. It's getting cold out there. Don't sort of bend those joints until you warm them up a little bit. Maybe just tuck them in your hoodie pocket, your sweater pocket.
Full disclosure, one of my fearless stalkers totally snapped the leg off because I didn't warm it up. Right. Snap the leg off. I did it. I didn't warm it up. I didn't follow the directions with the little icon of the blow drying thing going on. The other two are totally fine. That's on me. My first one too. I think that was my first damaged AWOK. Yeah. So
I've had a QC issue. I had an Atreyu figure that came with 2 left fists.
Oh.
So somebody's probably got 2 right fists somewhere. But anyway, Brian Briggs said, wait, Brick Something membership comes with homework? That's fitting.
Hey, there's charts, man. I make you look at charts. We process the data. We try and pull out meaning.
There's homework.
Yeah, there's do nows. There's all of the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk more about Legions Con? That was sort of what we were going to talk about anyway.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's jump into that. I like that comment though, Brian. All right, so the weekend starts off for us with me supervising Brick.
Yes, I think this is perfect.
That
I
first
just
picture
love
is like so well timed.
I love it. It's just us sitting making banners, doing AWOK talk in person. This was not the first time that he and I have met. We've met one time a year ago, roughly now. But this is our first time working on AWOK stuff in person. So that was cool. And I'll reverse here real quick. Yeah, it was kind of fun to kind of set up the booth. I have this as video that, again, one of those awesome videos that sits on my phone and never sees the light of day. But I did take screenshots and put them into the Kickstarter update so you can kind of see us putting together these things, which I think are genius. You've mentioned it before. I've shown the footage of our booth to different people who like had no concept of what the hell I was doing in Jersey, or like that I'm helping, that I even do the YouTube thing. People are like, wait, you do what? But
I think my parents know that I do this.
Yeah. And so they were impressed by the booth. You know, I was showing people like other people's footage of walking around the con, Archie's footage. And then they were like, wow, your booth seemed like really stands out as like being super pro. And I'm like, yeah, their booth does for sure. It's like all the light up stuff. But this thing is really cool. Like, shout out to the whole visual merchandising thing between Derek and Jason, sort of like how this is evolved over time. As I've already mentioned, I have notes for next time and things that I want to help for next time. But overall, this is awesome. And you can see it from the folks behind. So sorry to like NYC Figure Fanatics and Leland, who were right behind us, who I'm sure, I know for a fact, they told me, had people come up to them saying, hey, so where's the AWOK stuff? And they're like, that's the other side. You can clearly see their signage above ours.
Yeah.
But that's not us. But still, good job on the marketing. So it was kind of cool to build these things. And I mean, really, it took us maybe 15 minutes to get all those three things together. And then for you all to start stressing about other things. So
it's a funny thing because like it feels like it takes longer than it does because we're done the full setup in like an hour, like start to finish.
Yeah.
And then you see other tables where people are like setting up, Legion's Con specifically, where like people are like setting up their displays of all their painted heads. And there's people that are there for like 4 hours, 5 hours.
Just every little thing, unpacking,
setting everything up. And we're cruising around the floor, like checking out people's tables because we're totally
not so much. Did you do that? I was gonna say, weren't you panicking about having to drive and move the van? And
that was it's not at this point. Not on Friday night because we hadn't quite sorted that out yet.
So you got to walk around.
Yeah, so I did walk around a little bit. I wanted, I knew where people's tables were. It was more that I knew that I wouldn't get to see their tables like Friday or Saturday morning. So I wanted to kind of, see people that I knew and sort of say like, hey, how's it going? And just sort of check in with everybody. Most people's tables weren't even set up by the time, I was saying hello. And just like you, I didn't see all the tables. Like I that whole front row. So we're in the back row. Like the entrance is like the far side of where we're set up. I didn't see that whole front row. I was never in that sort of area because when I would run out to grab something, I would run out against this back wall and then sort of shoot out the first door. So I saw that row, and then I saw sort of the next row over a bunch of times. But there was what was there? Like there's about 8. There's like 5 aisles, and I think I saw probably 3 of the 5, but in passing for the most part. Not like
it's hard. It's really hard. I saw a total of 8 tables, as I mentioned before, other than the Spiros. But even like when you're walking down those aisles that have, like ours was just the one side, right? Because we were on the end.
There's
2 things. You're like, oh my god, like I'm super overwhelmed, and there's a lot of people, but there's a lot of great stuff to look at. So I didn't. You've had some experience doing this. Friday night I helped set up, and then I had other things to run off and do, and like I didn't have the wherewithal to go back in and walk around. Plus, I didn't want to get in people's way because, as you said, people were sort of doing their thing. like these guys here, like we were doing this, and they were that the two of these guys and Sequoia were setting up the tables, and we helped with that a little bit too. And then the work of taking out these like highly fragile prototypes that are that Jason spent hours painting and all of that, like taking those out, unpacking them carefully, and then putting them together. And so I kind of saw that whole process help with, like, you and I are helping with dial building and all that kind of thing and arranging stuff. But this stuff it's necessarily slow, right?
Yeah.
Literally like gluing pieces. Oh crap, this fell off.
Yeah.
Which I remember seeing him like work so hard to glue this guy. And then the next morning when I showed up there in the morning, I was like, oh, there's
Saturday morning.
There's
Mamba
an
only
arm
had one arm.
Yeah.
And we didn't even notice it initially. I think we sort of got to the table and we're like there and ready to go.
Oh, I totally.
I
think we got there at different times, right? When I was like, Art G, who did like a walk around on Saturday morning, he walks by and we weren't there yet. Shows up to the booth and he's like filming it and he's like, oh, I guess they're gonna have to fix that arm. We're just like, you see it in the video, just sort of laying there. But it was cool. It was cool to kind of see this whole process. And then this is what we ended up with at the table. And if you're not knowing, every Wednesday, I'm putting up the AWOK Kickstarter updates. And so these were in a recent post, so you can see some of this stuff there. But I know that not necessarily everyone who watches our Monkey Talk / Monkey Business stuff knows, but that's all in the updates section. And, there's other footage and stuff, but this was all cool to sort of see. And I don't know if you want me to go through Jason's photos, because he's got a crap ton of photos too, or if we want to talk
about we can go through that too. I mean, we can just sort of talk about, the other stuff too. I mean, we don't have too much to talk about this week. I mean, there's not a whole lot of updates and sort of news. We can take a look at the latest update too to see the packaging art.
Well, here is the booth that we've all been talking about. I'd love the light up stuff. My only notes was, and I know you all have tried to figure it out, was like lighting right on the front of these. Like, I really want to see these guys. And so it's hard, as you've mentioned, like what kind of things you do. But, I think there's like potentially solutions that are low profile that can kind of sit in front and just offer a little bit of lighting.
We got like an overhead sort of light that clips onto the edge of the table.
But now there's nothing to clip onto.
And now there's no way to clip on, because that front blue piece actually wraps over the edge of the table. So now it has to be a solution where, and I think the solution is not that complicated. I think maybe we sort of drill a hole to sort of bolt a light on, because you don't necessarily want it to be able to bump to knock things over. But it's just to your point of like this being like a really sort of clean and well-designed table. This is, every show it evolves a little bit, and every show it gets a little bit better. And the those new elevated tables were new. I think they'd done one show before where they've had them. Those banners are now double-sided, because we had banners at Legion's Con that were single-sided, but because we were at the back facing a wall, if you came in the entrance, you couldn't actually see the banners. So again, apologies to the tables behind us that were getting asked, where their AWOK figures were, but we intentionally made it dual-sided so that you could see us from far away.
Sure. Super visible.
Super visible, and intentionally super visible, because sometimes we get put in the back or in a corner or in a dimly lit area or whatever. So we're doing sort of everything we can to sort of overcome anything like that. But Trevor is here and he says prototypes not so much fun, huh?
Nope.
Trevor has to deal with prototypes all the time and make them look like production figures. At least we just have to have them on a table. We don't have to do too much with them.
Hey, real quick on that note, like, aren't these in the back, the posters, are these Trevor shots?
I think so. I think that pale one is in the horror,
and the mongrel. And weren't those prototypes as well?
No, so those they're production figures with like prototype parts. So because they're essentially that sort of first buck, Jason just was able to paint them
Sure.
I'm pretty sure they were like production figures.
Okay, that makes sense. Because damn, I was going, man, always you're making these things look amazing, which he does, regardless of the prototypes or figures. I like this because here you are, like hard at work, trying to look busy, and here I am watching. So,
but it's all, the other thing too is like, he says those were production, so he might have gotten them sort of super early in the.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he might have gotten samples. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of it. Like, there's moments too where other people are setting up the table, and I'm just
right.
Admittedly, it's Friday night. I probably had like a can. I was probably like hanging out and just like, because there's steps to it, and everybody's sort of better at certain steps, and it's.
And I don't want to get in the way.
Yeah, you don't want to get in the way, and it's sort of like when you go camping and like somebody's in charge of putting up the tent, you really can't have 6 people put up a tent. A tent gets put up best with like 1 or 2 people. That's just the reality of how it works. And everybody kind of has their little step that they're, responsible for. And then that way, it gets done quicker overall. Sure. But like I said, it was still pretty quick, and there's still room to improve. And,
sure.
And
no, it was quick. It was super quick. Like, man, it was a good, well-oiled machine, even though there were new parts myself. I thought it went well. This is all really cool. Shout out to Derek's sort of like merchandising experience and the whole idea of like this, one side was what you could buy now with an asterisk on it. And then the other side is stuff that's like, whether it's stuff that's coming out for pre-order, or coming down the pike, friends stuff that we're highlighting, or customs. I thought that was really cool. And then once stuff were sold out, they kind of came off the table because couldn't get them anymore. So
yeah, at the very least, they kind of went to the back of the display, or they got eliminated from the table there. Should we talk about the journey, the fantastic journey that Jason and I had to take? Is this sort of the right time, or should we wait a little bit longer?
Here, let's go through this before we get to the more talking.
I thought he'd be here, and then it would add a little bit.
No, it's fine. We were doing so good about talking about how like a well-oiled machine. I don't want to go back to the. Oh yeah, it's kind of sloppy sometimes.
Apart from that, yeah.
So Bushido stuff is coming out, which is awesome. I was hoping to get an update today, but there's just not much else yet that Dan's ready to show. Is that where things are at?
Yeah, so there was a little bit. I mean, I don't know how much I'm supposed to share or allowed to share, but I haven't heard back, so I'll just share some things just so that there's something to share. There was a little bit of not so much a curveball as there was sort of like we rearranged a couple things. So there was sort of a time, and this is, full disclosure, this is the inside baseball stuff. This is the audibles that we call as we're sort of going. Initially we were thinking that this first wave would be 4 figures. It would be, these 2 figures and then 2 Oni. But for production reasons and sort of timing reasons, it didn't make as much sense. So then it switched to these 2 figures plus an Oni, just 1. And initially it was going to be 1 of the 2 Onis that we sort of had mapped out for wave 1. But then there was a little bit of hey, we noticed something about this wave and so let's change it. So we had to sort of pivot. And so then it was the second Oni, and it's literally like the second Oni that will be in this wave, and it sort of got designed second, or it got sort of finished second. So the good news is, most of wave 2 is basically designed and done, because we sort of had to delay wave 1 a little bit. Pre-orders are still going to go up pretty soon. It is going to be a pre-order, not a Kickstarter. So basically we'll be, once these are ready to go, they'll sort of start into the production mode. Paint samples will start to be shipped off and things like that. And, you won't have to wait a crazy long amount of time to get them. But you're going to get these 2 figures plus an Oni for wave 1. And unfortunately, we just didn't have the Oni confirmed for Legion's Con. It would have looked so good right in the middle of that display too. That display was so balanced for 3 figures that it was just a little bit of a bummer that we didn't have the 3rd figure right there in the center. But yeah, very, very excited about these. And like articulation schemes are looking good. Designs looking good. Like accessories are looking super cool. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Should be coming soon.
And I know you said you weren't necessarily going to talk so much about this, but at Legion's Con, we got to, kind of keep it in the family with you and Arlen's work for Space Zombies from Mars. I don't know if you like that, but I'm stuck on that. Every time I hear it, I need to say it like that. These are cool. How did it feel being able to show your stuff off at Legion's Con at the
As I
Spirit
said, it was a bit of a trip. It was like, it's the weirdest thing because like I've been to toy shows like just as a nerd. Well, I'm a nerd even when I'm behind a table, but I was just there as a collector nerd, but then being behind a table, helping out a vendor, and then being behind tables as somebody that sort of works for the vendor, and then being behind the table as somebody that's promoting a line that I'm directly involved with was, as I said, it's like I still don't think I've wrapped my head around this weird escalation of toy collector to filing paperwork for incorporation of a business that's going to sell you zombies. Like, it's crazy. But it was super, super cool, and the response to these was incredible, and I'm really, really excited for people to see more about this and hear more about this. And again, this is another good example of the well-oiled machine. The other arm for that zombie was in my like little sort of fanny pack that I have my travel buddies in, because I had intentionally kept an arm. I did an Instagram post where I sort of did like a zombie arm reaching for an airplane, and it said like, "We're coming, Legion's Con," and I forgot to bring it down to the table, so it was there the next day. This was Friday night when we were setting up.
Oh crap! I thought you were going to say you lost it, but okay.
No, I didn't lose it. I do still have it. But again, well-oiled machine. I was meant to leave all this stuff with Jason, so that he could get it sort of photographed and use it for examples for painting of the other astronauts. And I forgot. They came home with me instead. So that's neither here nor there. But very, very excited.
Aside from that, obviously we got to meet a bunch of people and kind of take selfies. Sorry, I don't know who everyone is.
That's Chubsy Wubsy right there.
See, I didn't even make it to that.
Yeah, I thought that was Friday night, so I thought I was going to be there in time for that. But then they were live on Thursday, and they were like, "Oh, I thought you were going to be here," and I was like, "I want to take you guys told me Friday."
Let me put this out on the stream. You and I should be maybe a little bit more thoughtful about how much we highlight Spiro's sloppy on these streams.
No, it's just,
but I hear you. I hear you.
Organic, and part of it is just sort of like, they were there, and Chubsy reached out and was like, "Hey, do you guys want to, hang out and stuff like that?" So it wasn't, there wasn't anything sort of formally organized or anything like that. It was just, "Hey, if you guys are here already, let's do something cool." So.
Well, I was at Legion's Con because of Intern for a Day. Like, I showed up in New Jersey Wednesday night, and I was there Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, I get a text from Jay Shot, and he's like, "Hey, you gonna be on the stream?" I was like, "What stream?" And he's like, "Oh, like the Spiro's gonna be at Chubsy Wubsy." It was Thursday, right? Yeah, because it was and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I didn't know anything about it, but honestly, like, my brain is like kind of overload because I'm traveling. I'm in New Jersey right now. And he's like, "Yeah, so are we. We're like a block away in New Jersey." I was like, "Oh," but like, it was this awkward conversation of like, bottom line is I had no idea about what the heck he was talking about. And then I was like, I find out later that even Jason and Derek weren't clear that it was going to be like a between two sentinels.
It was super casual, and I think all parties involved were just they kind of made more with it than what it initially was meant to be. Like, it was meant to just be like a hangout, check out the shop and stuff like that. They ended up doing a live video and hanging out, and I think they got pizza and stuff like that. And between two sentinels, Jay Shot and Machu were there hanging out, and so that's why it became sort of alive. But it was just, the weekend's kind of a blur. The weekend is very chaotic, and it's chaotic for collectors, but it's also chaotic for vendors because there's a lot going on, and you're trying to just do everything, and you're trying to see everybody else, and you're trying to sell everything, and it's you got to figure out when to eat too, and sometimes you forget, and sometimes you just don't have time, and
Yep.
You know,
I didn't get to eat with you guys once this entire
no, yeah, that's like the show floor opened at 8 on Saturday and Sunday, and it's like,
Yep.
man, I mean, getting up and like getting organized to eat and stuff before 8. We got coffee. That was about it. So yeah.
Well, I will say, and again, I keep going through his photos, and then it jumps. So I'll stop on his photos. But let's talk a little bit about like the weird illicit hotel room toy talk that happens, because that was weird. This was weird, but awesome.
Yeah, if there's ever been a like, hey, come check out my van. Like we even had a weird shaped window, but it's a mirror, you know, like it's. Yeah. So we had the check models for the lizards, the reptiles, and the brawlers. And because we had the check models, we thought, well, let's, reach out to some of these guys that talk toys and some of these guys that are, toy influencers, if you will, who we knew were going to be at the show, and let's have them up and sort of check out the stuff. Now, we don't want people to play with that stuff at the table for obvious reasons. It's typically kind of fragile, and it's not production quality. But we did want these guys to have, a little bit of a crack at, articulation and how the sculpting was going to work and stuff like that. So Robo from Robo Don't Know, Jared from Toy Bro, and Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy were actually really excited to come up to a hotel room and play with some adult toys. It could have gone either way, but yeah, they were really, really excited, and they were up there what, for like an hour at least?
It was about an hour, and I filmed most of it. That's the funny thing. It's like, Jason's like, yeah, well, let's film it. Like, cool. Like, made arrangements beforehand. Yeah, I talked to those guys. They're gonna come up. Let's film it. Let's just all hang out and look at these check models. Like, yeah, no problem. And then we're starting to walk up. I'm filming, and I'm like sitting there going like, I got to meet all of them except for I got to meet Jared, and Robo at Intern for a day. So I got to hang out with them, which was really cool, right? So it's like, okay, I met those guys already, so it wasn't weird. Dan Larson, I'd barely met. So, and I didn't, because we were kind of like organizing this whole thing. We'd met briefly before. So we're walking up, I'm filming, and I'm like, it occurs to me, I was like, we're in the elevator. I was like, do these guys even know that Jason asked to film it? So by the like, we're walking the whole way, we're in there, and I was like, I don't know what point I was like, hey guys, just to be real clear, and this is already an awkward situation for all the reasons that you said. We're up here looking at toys. It's like some weird deal. And by the way, this weird dude who you barely know is going to film the entire thing. Yes. Like, what is this for? So it was cool eventually, but it was just totally awkward. I was like, we're walking, and at the end of the day, I got over it, and I was like, man, we're just sitting here looking at some cool toys. People are offering notes and just like and feedback on how awesome these things are. It was, like you, I'm a huge fan of all three of these guys, and just to sort of sit back, and I'm like, oh, this is like a in-person,
yeah.
Only thing we're missing is, Jared's orange background to kind of like talk me through these toys, or we're cutting up Dan real quick so that, all these fun quips. But it was cool. It was a very cool experience, a great way to sort of start Legions Con for me, at least that Friday night, because this was before the actual con started. And I mean, you and I got in on it too. Like, we were just there with them playing.
We were, we kind of let them do their thing. But there's you, and like I'm, that's me there too. It's like we wanted to play with the toys too. And what was really, really cool, and what I think is like you kind of lose track of it somewhat, because you kind of see these guys and you watch their videos, and we kind of hold them in high esteem. They're just nerds like us that want to play with toys. And I got some, Derek was nice enough to pick up the second of the limited edition Secret Galaxy Mighty Maniacs toys for me. And so I got that, as well as some other Rocom toys, Mighty Maniacs, and I was opening them, and Dan Larson, obviously being a fan of that line, was like, which ones did you get? And he was like, he wanted to like see the ones that I got and stuff like that. And then just sort of talking about other toy lines and looking at articulation and being like, oh yeah, it's we saw this figure and it sort of inspired this like articulation thing, and they're like, oh, did you check out this one? And it's like, it wasn't, there was no difference between them and us when we were all playing with toys, right? It was just a bunch of kids playing with toys,
right?
And it was really, really fun and just like a really cool experience. And they had some really good feedback too. I mean, that's the other thing, is that certain articulation things or like certain little details were like, is this going to be this, or could you change this or whatever? And so it wasn't just a PR thing. It was also, we genuinely wanted the feedback from people that handle a lot of action figures.
Yeah, that's right.
And they seemed like, a good bunch to get some information from. So,
well, you said, we don't normally want folks on the other side of the table to kind of grab these and play with them, but we were doing that here Friday night, and I know Jason and Derek like barely got to handle these at all, because they like them, and I think they showed up, they packed them up, brought them here. So
yeah.
So Jason was unpacking them for these guys to play with and for us to play with. And then by that time, like, I was just like, cool. So I enjoyed being able to, on Saturday and Sunday of the con, being able to handle them and show people them. And I thought people appreciated that. Like, yeah, we can't necessarily let you handle them, but if I break it, like, I'll deal with it.
Exactly.
But
well,
it was
that's
cool
part of it too, is
you
don't, like, we know what these are, right? So check models, for anybody that's not familiar, like, these are basically the factory makes these, but they make them with a silicone mold rather than a steel mold. So it's still injected plastic. But like for the arms, for example, it's not a mushroom peg, it's just a straight cylinder. So the arms slide right out and you can put them right back in. But a lot of things are like that. So the armor kind of falls off, or like, an arm can just fall off, or the heads don't sit on quite right because there's still details that need to be dialed in and sort of double checked. And that's what the check model is for. It's to check whether or not the sculpting works, whether the things fit, what the articulation looks like, and all that kind of stuff. So these aren't, these aren't a perfect representation of what the actual action figures are going to be like. And so to that end as well, we don't want people to pick them up and be like, oh, is the arm only going to, articulate that much? And it's like, well, no, it'll articulate more because the plastics will be different, and because we're changing a little detail here, and that's what these are for. So,
but I will say, what was really cool was, like, I love how these move. We've talked a lot about them. I love the butterfly. I love the double joints, everything. And I love the way they look. So being able to see these, especially like, with the lizards, like, full disclosure, with the reptiles, like, they're as on par as you can get with these guys. They're very similar body sizing and everything. So I was fully expecting them to be just like these, and they were. And these are check models, but they move beautifully. I could do a lot of the same sort of like weirdo poses. And but then what was really great to see was how the what are we calling them? The brawlers?
Yeah,
the big old like Hannibal here and the Void and Kali Prime, how they moved and how they match these guys. That I can do the butterfly extension, I can do the moving, the solution for the neck with that sort of being two-piece. Like, we talked a lot about it on the Kickstarter sort of streams, but I'm happy to firsthand be able to say that it's 100% like a beautiful solution. And the way these things move are great. We were playing with discovering things like, well, what if we put the head on without it? As you can kind of see here, like, there's the head alone. And we're like, oh, that looks kind of cool. So there's a lot of real fun things to be discovered with these new body types. And I had a blast playing with those check models. And, so anyway, that was really cool. Like, that's not at all how I planned my, evening to go. I was surprised by the whole, hey, come to our hotel room and look at toys, and it's all weird and shady. But I will say that immediately after this, I went downstairs, talked to some people, and then immediately got asked to do the very same thing. Like, hey, I've got a toy line. You want to come upstairs? And I was just like, if I didn't have this experience, I don't know what I would have said. If I would have been like, that's weird,
No,
dude.
I'm good.
But I was like, oh, I guess this is just a thing that happens. And it was amazing. So I'm super grateful to have, one, been at Legion's Con this year, and two, to have been there with Spiro in this capacity and have access to this kind of experience. So it was rad, man.
This is a really good question, actually, and you know, I don't want to speak for Jason, but I think I can kind of answer that. He says, "How would you guys?" Justin Mohan asks, "How would you guys reuse these bodies for another toy line if there ever would be one?" We might not. I mean, that's the thing, is that like the Bushido line doesn't reuse any AWOK molds or any AWOK parts. It's a completely different line, and to that extent, you know, we would reuse these within the AWOK line, but we wouldn't necessarily need to. You know, if you can produce enough figures with these parts, you don't really need to have them cross over to another line. So the Brawler Buck, for example, there's at least 2 other figures that we intend to do on the Brawler Buck. The Reptile, there's at least 2 more that I know of. You know, when you get to the Speedsters and the Heroines, which is the female buck, you know, there's tons that you could do, because that's you know, there's only like 3 of each of those. So you don't necessarily need to have it be reused for another toy line. If we could, you know, we would. I mean, if the tooling's already done, and like say there's an Oni that looks like one of these and it just needs a different head, you know, there's always the potential there. Like, we own the molds and stuff like that, but that's not necessarily the sort of first instinct, I guess. It's like, okay, what other toy line would we do from here? Because different toy lines are going to have different art direction and stuff like that. So very good question. And you know, it might happen, but it's not, this has a very distinct look to it, so it might never make it, you know, the tooling might never make it out of AWOK.
I will say this guy, the Gresh, the tongue thing, was just one of the coolest, like, just fun toyetic things ever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I was able to like contribute an idea for like a creative piece of this, of just like, hey dude, could we get like a plug? Because there is a kind of a big hole in his mouth. Without it, and I don't have a good shot of it. But just like a little plug, right? With like the little end of a tail that kind of goes in that
yeah,
you know,
just a tongue that's not, you know, a full tongue, but just something that when you open the mouth, there isn't, you know, that, you know, obvious spot where you're meant to put something in there.
Right. But these things are cool, man. Yeah. The future of AWOK is super bright, as we know, and it was just cool to kind of see this. And I'm hoping that I'm assuming whenever the stars align in terms of where the factory's at and where the process is at, the goal is to have as much of this kind of stuff at the live shows as possible. So if you're in an area where Spiro's going to be showing, yeah, look out for it. And usually we'll tell people if there will be stuff or not. May not necessarily tell you what will be there, but I think it's a great way to meet people, and it's a great way to kind of see some of these toys in person in early production. So
Eric Dryja says we need a real tongue for the Gresh. It will be tooled. We won't get it with Gresh, but it will be tooled. So it's in the sandbox. It'll be in the it'll be in the catalog, you know, going forward. So yeah, a lot of talk about you know, different shows. We should try to wrap it up before too long. I know that you've gotta jump off and sort of get over to.
I do.
Jason just messaged, said, I'll be in soon. How long is it going for? We had a family dinner. So he's probably not going to join us. So let's just sort of wrap it up, I guess. I was now I lost it. Somebody was asking about cons. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, coming up.
Yeah. Let's see, and I missed it. Somebody said, "Are you going to be at this con or that con?" We are. There it is. Okay. So what we have planned so far for 2025, or at least sort of what we've booked and what is confirmed, we are going to be doing WonderCon, which is kind of the kid brother to San Diego Comic-Con. So WonderCon goes March 29th and 30th, I think. 28th to the 30th at Anaheim Convention Center. So if you're in and around that area, by all means, come and check us out. So that's going to be the first big sort of West Coast convention that we're going to be doing.
Woo-woo.
And that's a pretty big one. I mean, that's it's not San Diego Comic-Con, but it's pretty big.
Yeah, it's the same folks. It's the Comic-Con International folks. It used to be up here in San Francisco. It was my favorite thing, and then they moved it to Orange County because reasons. So boo.
Other cons that we've got confirmed are IshCon.
Oh, right.
ZoloCon, Joe Lanta, and Joe Fest.
So
and it's not in there, but I'm pretty sure we're doing Toy Lanta. I'm not entirely sure.
And so those are the dates for Joe Fest. What is that?
Yep, June 20th to the 22nd.
Cool. And then IshCon, whose website is under construction. But there it is. May 16th through the 18th for IshCon. That's going to be at the new venue, the Durham Convention Center. Mm-hmm. No longer at the, am I getting that right? No longer at the, what do they call that thing? Something.
ZoloCon's no longer at the Fuge. It's now.
Oh, that's Ish. I'm sorry.
IshCon, I think, is always.
I screwed that up. Yeah. No, I screwed that up. But that's okay. That's what we do here. And then ZoloCon 2025. When is this 2025?
I think so. Yeah. It's usually relatively early in the season, and they do two. So they do like their spring one, and then their they call it their summer one, or I don't know. I think they typically have two a year. So
cool. That's plenty of opportunities for folks to go hang out. You and I will be here, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan. Which is awesome. WonderCon.
Yeah.
And then are you planning on going to any of the others?
Not until Jason tells me I am.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So, but Jason will be there. Derek will be there. Is Sequoia always there, or is it certain shows?
No, she's only there for certain ones. Some of the bigger ones.
Gotcha. She was awesome too. Shout out to her. I feel like she doesn't get enough. I don't know. Just Sequoia's dope. So, but yeah. So yeah, check out your dates and do all that for meet Jason. Usually at a con, because you have to like plan early, he doesn't just not show up. So he'll actually be at these. So
yeah, absolutely. We will save, I think we'll save the South Jersey story for next time when Jason's on, because
when he's there. I find the whole thing awkward. I'm just gonna let you all talk about that whole thing and just kind of sit.
Yeah, we'll leave people on like a cliffhanger, I guess. That's
can I do one thing, if you just a shout
yeah,
out.
I was sort of waiting for you to pull that up there. So this is the well, I'll let you're much more involved in this than I am.
So about 16 weeks ago now, Brian George, Endless Fables, initiated with a couple of other toy photographers first. There's just a few of them, started this AWOK photo collab. And so it's a weekly thing. And if you're interested, anybody can sort of join in. Mm-hmm. But so folks just sort of submit their Animal Warriors of the Kingdom photos, any photos that utilize AWOK figures. And there's sometimes a theme, but usually not. And it's just been really cool to kind of see what people do, right? Even including like some of the customizing stuff, because that's what really this is about. It's just like, hey, how can we celebrate what these toys can do and sort of show folks like what these toys are like. And it's one thing for you and me to talk about them or talk about the lore or whatever, but these are like toy collectors who happen to take photos as well, like posing them up, doing their whole thing. And you really get a broad sense of like what can be done with these. I really appreciate everything, right? Like even the mixing of the lines that kind of show how they're compatible. So you're seeing some of the names here, but there's a bunch of folks. Anybody can jump in on it. And the other thing that I wanted to shout out, toy photography wise, was that it's sort of it's kind of ending now and closing out, but this Battle of the Kingdom contest that Spiro was sponsoring with Danny and Mega J. I'm forgetting the name of Danny's toy.
Danny Green Collects.
Danny Green Collects, as well as So they've been running this photo contest. Also, Badass Reviews is involved. I want to say and maybe Titan Toys. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong. But they had a bunch of folks submit photos, and then they chose a bunch of photographers. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 photographers. Yep. To kind of enter into this bracket. And they've been doing this on Instagram, where you'll see the stories and you can vote for which one you want. And then from there they proceed. And so we are down to here now, and that's going to be happening soon.
Yes. And
I want to say this ended too, this bracket, so that we're on
those brackets ended too. So Eddie and his toys is up against Simon Toast, I think.
Simon Toast
final for like first place. And then Kentacor is
Ken Artcore.
Ken Art, is that what it is?
that makes more sense.
Artcore.
Yeah. And John Emerald Knight Photos.
Yeah, so that's there is an updated one. There's like an updated thing there, but I think it's down to the final. There he is.
Oh, hey, what did I miss?
Oh, not much. We're good. We were talking about Four Horsemen toys and no, I'm just kidding. We were talking about Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, Spiro toys.
Oh, the Battle of the Kingdom battles.
Yes, and now we're just closing out, just showing some of the toy photography stuff. If you watch it back, there's the usual highlighting of some of the looseness that is Spiro toys.
Yeah,
but fun. Always fun, right, Jason?
I said, yeah, it's all about fun, chaotic fun. What's up, everyone?
So it was really cool to kind of see this.
And Josh Brown said all of it.
Yeah, all of it. Pretty much all of it. We're closing out. I hope you had a good family session, though.
We did.
A good time for family.
Yeah, we had a good time.
But anyway, this is cool. This is winding down. When is this going to end? Do you remember?
It should end on Thursday. I think the final winner over everything will be announced on Thursday.
Got it.
So we've got these two guys going up against each other tomorrow.
Cool.
And then we'll do the last ones on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we'll let them battle it up, and then Thursday we'll announce all the winners.
Cool. And again, the battle is just folks like yourselves who are watching, going on Instagram, finding the story, and the story is available at Spiro Toys
Correct.
IG, right, as well as other ones.
Correct. Yes.
And you just look at the story, and there's a little drop down menu. You choose which of the two you want to vote for, essentially. So it's all based on viewer votes, and there are prizes involved. But shout out to everybody who took pictures of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom toys.
Yeah, it was really cool to see all the great creators, using our figures to kind of create their artwork. So it's been a real honor and exciting to kind of see what people are coming up with. And, the idea was to kind of do the brand awareness for people that might not necessarily know about Animal Warriors. Yeah. So we feel like it's been really successful as far as that goes, and just kind of getting to see how everyone plays with their toys, so. Mm-hmm.
Any surprises? I'm curious, like what as the creator, between these and even we were just talking about the photo collab guys, right? That we were sort of sharing through. Are there any like things that have stood out to you, surprises, some fun things you didn't like, what's been your overall impression as a creator, seeing other people playing with your toys, taking pictures and showing them off to the world?
I mean, it's a huge compliment. It's what we want. We want the idea is first to kind of create something and hand it off to the fans and the community for them to kind of make it their own. So that's been really encouraging and fun. Again, we're a relatively new brand. Everyone kind of takes for granted, Four Horsemen just celebrated their 25 years. So,
right.
And it's kind of like, some people don't even know who that is, and we know who it is because we love toys, but
Right.
Those brands like Ninja Turtles and Transformers are all just part of pop culture now. And it's like, you might not know who, Splinter is, but you know who the Ninja Turtles are,
Yeah.
So again, it's like, we've got to figure out, we're shooting for the stars, but we also have to figure out, what can we do in this year? Like, what's a reasonable goal as far as like, letting this amount of people find out about it. And so I feel like we're on track. We're doing well. We're really looking forward to WonderCon, which will be in your neck of the woods, early 2025, which is crazy. How did it become 25 years? Like, I feel like 2000 was just like 5 years ago, so. Yeah, so it's been great. As far as like surprises goes, so like the real focus of the photos was to do essentially an unopened figure so that people can easily identify the figure, and then if they want to purchase it, find it, on whatever shopping site they prefer.
Right. So versus like, sorry, I was just gonna say versus like some of the custom stuff that people were doing.
Right, exactly. So
gotcha.
Yeah, that being said, it is kind of cool seeing the custom stuff that people will kind of sneak into the photo. So that's been kind of cool. It's always fun to see people's interpretations as far as like customizing goes.
Yep. That's awesome. That's got to be a huge, it's got to be flattering to see people kind of like give your figures a life.
It was really cool. I don't know if y'all mentioned it, but the contest is essentially run on your mobile device. Instagram has a desktop function, but it's essentially really meant to be used with your smartphone. And I think we were halfway into the contest, and my phone slipped off of my lap and it hit the chair just right to crack the screen. So like I had no way to post for 4 days. It was so frustrating. I thought we tried to figure out a couple of ways around it, and we got so close to actually being able to do it. But even with the laptop essentially acting like a mobile device, it just didn't have the options to allow us to, keep it going. So that was an interesting little hiccup. And like I said, I broke it, but like I could not reproduce the way I broke it, even if I tried. It was such a weird freak accident. I was just like, dude, are you kidding me? This is crazy. Because I've dropped the phone before, and it's never fallen that way before. I was just kind of like, really? This is foolishness.
Hey, let me ask you, since we're talking about the Battle of the Kingdoms stuff, can we just shout out real quickly who did all the sort of like promo images like this stuff?
So that's a mix between let me look real quick.
Oh shoot, I totally put you on the spot.
No, you're good.
Let's just say it was Brick Something. Brick
Wally
Something did a
K,
good job.
Yeah, Brick Something. So Wally K did it, and I don't know what his actual name, but his handle is like DTMP something. Unfortunately, I don't remember exactly what it is.
Oh, I know what it is. It's the one that you guys never pronounce correctly. Can I do this? It's this one.
There you go. DTPMPMP.
Okay, so here's my
and I don't know the gentleman's name.
Can I share it with you? This is what I'm assuming it is. It's Dat Pimp.
What? That's how you pronounce it?
The Pimp. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's Dat Pimp. Yeah.
That Pimp.
But anyway,
that Pimp.
Sorry.
I like it.
I think
that we should I think we should roll with it. I'm okay with that.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Okay, so that's cool. So you had folks already sort of supporting you all with like this, because I loved all of this promo stuff. These shots are really cool.
Yeah, they did
and
a great job.
Some different stuff.
Yeah, fun. Right, for sure.
I kept thinking like they were like shots in the contest, and I was like, I'd vote for that. And then I was like, oh no, wait,
right?
But
they are really compelling.
Yeah.
Anyways, I love that you're doing that. I think that's a great idea. I love that the AWOK photo collab is happening, sort of this grassroots homegrown thing among the tribe. Some really cool things happening with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. So anyway, I have a show that starts in about 7 minutes that I should get going for. But I don't know if you guys want to do part two.
Thanks for letting me hop on at the last second.
Yeah, no, we'll wrap it up. We were going to talk about our fantastic voyage to South Jersey, but we'll save that for next time.
That sounds good.
We need visuals though, if that's the case.
We had
even
if
it's a Google Map,
I wish there was
Indiana
somebody,
Jones style.
I mean, if anybody's watching this and knows somebody that can animate something like in the next like month, like I could give you all the details.
I
and
like
probably
it.
like a vocal recorded sort of overdub for it, because I just
fun.
thought in the back of my head, I was like, man, imagine if there was like a little 30-second animated video of us driving and like just the panic and the like just the funny details that sort of came up. But it was just anyway.
We'll reach out to Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We'll reach out to our good friend Seth Green of Robot Chicken and see if he can throw something together.
Joseph did catch Adam peeing in his parking lot, which I thought was entertaining. So that was pretty good.
We'll
talk about it. We'll go into detail
I didn't
later.
even hear that. Okay, cool. That's a great tease for next time, and that definitely needs to be animated.
Yeah,
cool.
I agree.
Looking forward.
All right.
Some monkey business.
I'll be
IRL.
good. All right.
All right. Late. So, we're wrapping it up. Jason, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. We had an impromptu family dinner, and it wasn't really planned. It was just kind of like, oh, hey, we're Elizabeth's little friend, her little girlfriend wanted to do something, and they rarely get to do stuff together. So we're like, all right, we'll go get some pizza down the street. And
nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, Brick's going live in about 5 minutes over on his channel, Brick Something on YouTube. Check that out. Who's your guest today, Brick?
Hans of 10 Customs, awesome customizer whose work I love, have followed this whole time. He was like an aisle over from us, and I barely talked to him for like the last 30 minutes. I was at Legion's Con. So I was like, dude, I'm so bummed I didn't get to talk to you. Will you come and hang out with me on the Brick Something News? He's like, yes, let's do it. So that's what that's going to be. Legion's Con after Legion's Con.
I like it.
It has a knock-on effect. Hey, like you just end up meeting people, and you're like, oh, we should do a video, and like we should do this, and like we're still talking about it. It's been a couple weeks, and like we still got another story to share next time. So hopefully people will be coming back next month. We'll probably have more updates, more news, stuff like that. So thank you guys all for hanging out with us. It's been a blast. It's always a pleasure. We do this once a month, so I'll have 3 normal Sunday episodes between now and the next Monkey Business, and then we'll do this all over again. So hopefully you guys will be back next time as well, and we can talk more about this. Till next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mine doesn't work.
Bye-bye.
I'm saying it in my heart.
Mine doesn't work. So
I
like bye-bye. I like bye-bye, Adam, and I like bonkers. Both of those 2 things.
Bye-bye.
I say those
bye-bye,
both
bonkers.
I know.
Probably too much.
I got them from you.
Have a great one. Bye.